It will be completed by next year, December 2024. But for Panitan, it will take a while and conception because conception secondary works is still under bidding. Then for Panitan, because we have difficulty in putting the new project on the existing substation, is very compact already. So we have redesigned to construct what we call a GIS. The second GIS, that's gas insulated substation. It needs only a very small area to construct. So that's why there are delays in Panitan substation also. Maybe Panitan will be completed by 2025. But for Dingle, Santa Barbara, San Jose, we hope to complete that one by second quarter 2020.
Mr. Chair, why are you asking this? It's because since you have your timeline, you said you started it 2015 pa. Have you not anticipated this situation that you will face, that we faced last few weeks? Have you not anticipated this or somehow have contingency plan given the situation that your company is earning every year, no? You have good income, and we also would like to know na hindi naman kami dito malagay sa alanganin, no? It's sad because as we may know, the generation within the island, generation natin dito, so sobra sa 600 megawatts. Ang consumption is around more than 300 megawatts. Pero sa mga substations natin, kulang, inefficient. So 2050 pa kayo nag-upgrade. Ang project ninyo kailan matapos. Have you not anticipated this, guys, on the technical side? Na merong ganitong mangyayari? No? Have you not anticipated this? O ano yung mga sanang ginawa natin na hindi nangyari yon? Because right now, I think some of you were there during the Provincial Council Disaster Council meeting, Mr. Chair, is we have resolutions, no, addressed to other government agencies, most particularly sa inyo, sa NGCP, and then ERC and Department of Energy, no? Tapos, yung sabi niyong Cebu Negros CNP3 natin, August pa yun. So, medyo matagal pa yun. So, on your end, we would like to be assured kung hanggang saan na kayo ngayon sa BSP ninyo, BSUP ninyo. And then, ang assurance ninyo na hindi ito maulit yung nangyari. We're trying to quantify now the losses, no, that we incurred ng mga small, medium entrepreneurs, no? We are asking the DOs natin, the Iloilo 1, 2, and 3 to give us also the quantifiable amount because we're trying now to consolidate all of this para ipakita sa inyo, paalam sa tao yung losses na nangyari ng 3 araw na yan. No? So, and no less than Yusek Bacordo was here 2 days ago. Andito siya, nagkausap kami, we had a dinner. And we have substantially discussed also this. No? He's from Iloilo. You know that? Maybe some of you doesn't know it. He is from Iloilo. You say Bacordo he's from La Paz. So, andun yung feeling niya. He's the sentiment that we face and we feel. Mr. Chair, I would like to know. So again, you're saying that you have your plan, but can you assure us na eventually hindi na ito maulit? Yung 3 araw na to?
Sir Rolly, can I make a clarification that the 3-day successive brownout was not caused by any overloading of our lines or substations? It is caused by a system disturbance from the grid. So when they say the grid, it can be Negros, Panay, or Cebu, the source. So no overloading was experienced in Panay, especially in Panay, during the 3-day interruption. So the 3D interruption is not caused by overloading of substation or the lines. It is not. Because if it is overloading, then what we are going to do
Ano
is to
yung,
call for a manual
yung
drop.
para ninyo sa 69 kVA na high system frequency na outage?
Affected lang yan, sir. Because
Pero
of
hindi mo
voltage
sabihin na
disturbance.
hindi yun
Hindi yan overloading.
ano ibig sabihin ng high frequency?
System disturbance yan. Sir, Christian.
Kindly address your response to the chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yeah. So the question is for the frequency, on the
Yes.
high frequency, what is that? Well, as I've been mentioned or explained a while ago, we are balancing the supply and demand. And what happened during the April 27 to 29, there were tripping of power plants. There were also tripping of some voltage sensitive loads. What does that mean? So the frequency, we're trying to balance the supply and the demand. And if the supply and the demand is balanced, that is when our frequency is
Mr. Chair, excuse me, who is the one balancing? Sino nagbabalance?
Yeah,
Sino?
NGCP is balancing.
Also, you're the one balancing it.
Yes,
Okay.
Your Honor. However, we need resources. What are those resources? The power plants. So if there will be no power plants, no available power plants that we can dispatch in order to serve, let's say, the deficiency in supply, we can only do so much. So we cannot balance the system if there are no available supply. And during the April 27 to 29, it's called
Sir, to cut, during that period,
Mhm.
there is no available power.
Okay, let me start in 27. On April 27, there were power plants that are offline or not available. What are those? PEDC Unit 2 is on maintenance. In Negros, we have the Kabangkalan Battery Energy Storage System. And also the biomass power plants, it's off milling season. So they're not available. If those power plants were available, the system of Negros Panay should have been stronger. So that's what we and the disturbance that happened based on our simulations, the system of Negros Panay could withstand. But that's just one thing. That's one area that we're looking at. We're looking into. The other one is the protection. So what's the protection? As I mentioned also a while ago, during the disturbance, it was cleared. The system voltage was already recovering, but there was a tripping of power plant. And if a power plant trips, we will lose that balance. It's a big one. It's 135 megawatts from PCPC. So it really disturbs the system.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Lord.
Christian, you're telling us, no, we're starting to understand. But you say, nag-trip off o hindi nagbibigay yung PCPC? Okay, what is your term? Hindi sila nagbibigay o they are not functioning, they are not producing power by that time?
Okay, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, they're producing during that time, but during the disturbance or after the disturbance, right after the disturbance, they trip. What does it mean? It's like we suddenly lost that amount of capacity, the 135 megawatts of PCPs.
From whom? From PCPC?
Yeah, from PCPs.
How did they stop it? How did it happen?
Based on their report, it's generator protection. We don't have the details yet. What
I think
Mr. Chair, lang. So, we mean to say that if the generation companies wants to put off or to shut off their generators, hindi sila nagpapaalam sa inyo?
they have their own protection and we cannot
No,
control
yeah.
that.
So, maski at any given time, hindi sila magsabi sa inyo na hindi na ako yung magsusupply kasi mag-trip off kami dito ngayon.
For our protection, they did not,
Just for that?
did not communicate to you, to your company.
Yes, it's a disturbance and it's a like an emergency tripping. So I'm not sure. I don't know what's the reason why they trip. That's why we need to coordinate with them. What's the indication why they tripped?
I think you partner would like to hear
Para pala complete o pag-intindi.
yes.
Sorry, no? But again, and then there's what you call this, what is the rating? The rating of power plants. What are those?
The rating.
The rating. Because may, sa mga pronouncements ninyo eh.
Mm.
The tripping of the 69 kVA Santa Barbara transmission line due to high system frequency at this day, 28 April, caused the outage of the multiple power plants. NGCP issued SIR, Significant Incident Report, on the Visayas grid, putting it in yellow alert. In interval hours, several generators went on forced outage and their rating. So, forced outage. Once they do this forced outage, hindi sila nagpapaalam sa inyo?
Yeah. The forced outages. It's the term. Yeah, Mr. Chair. The term forced outages. That's why it's called forced because we cannot control it. It's not planned. It's something that happens uncontrollably. So maybe it's for emergency purposes.
Bakit natataka ko ito sa Mr. Chair? Sunod sila na mag-derate, sunod sila na magpatay. Para bang synchronized. Oh, synchronized yung patay-patay nila na ganyan. Then eventually, naubusan na tayo ng load dito and nahirapan na kayo ngayon mag-synchronize. Oh, am I correct? Sa aking understanding? So, this should be also be looked into. This should be looked into ang power generators also. Hindi lang sa inyo rin. Of course, this should be looked into also, Mr. Chair. Because, as I was saying, again, no, sabi ninyo, sana meron dito generation company na invite natin. No? So again, Mr. Chair, it is in my understanding now that these generation companies will at any given time, pwede lang sila magputol o hindi na mag-supply ng kuryente, apektado ang distribution utilities natin. So, there should be a system on this also that they should be accountable because we want to know here the accountability and transparency on this effort. So, Mr. Chair, thank you.
So thank you, partner Rory. So I think we can share some information from the general manager of the Iloilo 3, Attorney Palsamo.
Mr. Chair, Honorable Distura, and the rest of the honorable members of the Sanggunian, to make it simpler, so that everybody could understand. Aside from voltage, there is the so-called frequency factor in the grid. The grid runs in a frequency of 60 hertz. I stand to be corrected. 60 hertz, that's a standard frequency. What's the purpose of frequency? This is the purpose of which is to synchronize all those which are connected to the grid. So lahat ng generator must be synchronized with the grid so that they could generate powers once a grid. Absence of synchronization, once there is no harmony in the frequency, the generator cannot enter the grid. So in the same way, once there is a disturbance in the frequency, automatically yung protection system ng mga generator plants will trip off. They will stop. Dahil hindi sila synchronized sa grid, it would create a lot of danger, a lot of complications once they are not in harmony with the frequency. What happened during that time, Mr. Chair, honorable members of the Sanggunian, there was irregular voltage and there was irregular frequency. So supposedly, based on this current information we have from the NGCP, this is the first time we heard from them after the incident on the part of the DUs. This is the first time. We have not had any meeting at all. We're scheduled tomorrow pa. But I stand to be corrected. According to the NGCP, the disturbance in the grid came from the Bacolod Silay line. This is a sub-trans, am I correct? A sub-transmission line, Mr. Chair, means this line runs with the voltage of 69,000 volts. This is the line connecting the distribution utility to the grid. Meaning the grid, Mr. Chair, Honorable Disora, so that everybody could understand, we have high voltage, 138,000 volts usually. Am I correct? And from there is an NGCP substation. This is a big transformer actually, reducing the voltage to 16,000 volts. So from there, it is connected into the so-called sub-transmission line. The sub-transmission line is 16,000 volts. This is connected in our substation, the DU substation. The DU substation reduces the voltage into the standard voltage we have 240 volts to supply power to our homes. So according to them, the disturbance happened in the Bacolod Silay grid, Bacolod Silay line. There is an EGCP substation here, and in this line, I believe there is the so-called RES, renewable energy source. Am I correct in this line? Is there a RES connected in this line? Renewable energy source, solar, wind. If that is the case, Mr. Chair, may I just address this EGCP? Based on the scientific papers, this is available online. All universities offering engineering course would know this. A renewable energy source, particularly the solar, because of the nature of its variability and intermittency, meaning variable, the voltage drops and rises, and of course intermittent, the regency, the weather, it creates a regular pattern in the power output. Now, there's the so-called low frequency oscillation created by the inverters. Because the renewable energy source, Mr. Chair, is producing direct current. And the inverter converts this into alternating current so that this could be introduced into the grid. Because the grid does not accept DC. Correct? Now, because of the nature of the renewable energy source, with the increased penetration, there is the so-called low frequency oscillation, which is not ordinarily detected by the protection system unless they have upgraded their protection system. That is why, because once there is a disturbance, a fault in this Bacolod Silay line, a lot of substations ang dadaanan niya. And along these substations, there are protections in place. And they should have not escaped. Ang fault doon sa Silay should have been isolated doon. Hindi na pwede pa pumunta dito sa Panay. Kasi dadaan pa yung sa NGCP substation doon sa Silay. Sa AB Magalong na. Or dyan sa Barota. Going to the Panay grid. But the question is, how did this disturbance was able to escape from the Bacolod Silay line? Paano naka-escape sa protection system? Meaning, something is wrong, Mr. Chair, with the protection system. Not with the generation, not with the load. It's with the protection system of the NGCP. Kasi kung in place ang protection system nila, doon pa lang sa Silay na substation, nag-trip na. So this portion of the grid should have been isolated right there and then.
Yes, I think Attorney Bolsomo got the point, no? Na bakit hindi na doon nag-trip off na lang sa Silay? Ba't pumunta pa dito? At saka na-alarm yung iba natin na power plants na nag-trip off din. Saka kung doon pa lang sana, naputol na yon. So wala na. Hindi na tayo apektado dito sa Panay. So I think the NGCP would make... yes? Manager of the Electro 2.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon. So from the co-op, we are also dependent with NGCP, no? Since ang dinabakal namin ng powers ng mga generator up to pass through NGCP, no? Direct na transmit before going to electric co-ops. Ang problema, no, like nga natabo last April 27, it's very unusual. Kay, yes, it happened before, no, nag-collapse ang system. Out tanan, then we have to start from zero. Usually, it would take 8 to 12 hours bago na mabalik ang power. Pero sa Subong, ang natabo, it took 3 to 4 days. No? And during sa term nila during restorative states, last 28 to 29, there must be something wrong with their system nga hindi kabalik ang mga planta. Before, kung mag-collapse, why not problema ang magbalik? Ang ginapangayo namon that they have to be transparent. May gintandok lasanda sa ilang mga protection. Ay before, okay man, gabalik man ang planta after 8 to 12 hours after collapsing. But sa Subong, why? Kay we have also a direct contact with the generation. Nagbalik sila then. May mga spikes ang voltage. All of a sudden, then mag-collapse na naman liwat ang system. Amo to nga naglawig katama, which is very unusual. Ang among na suspect, kay why man kami information from NGCP is base magintandok sila sa ilang mga protection system. Only after ginpatawag sila sa aton nga mga local leaders, ito si Mayor, na fast track siguro ba? Base lang binalik na liwat ang ilang mga protection sa dati na why lang na nakalabot ang 12 o'clock sang April 30, nagbalik na sa normal ang amon nga load. So, very unusual. So, that's why we want get that ang exact information. I know, hindi man nila nasala. I think bisan sila, hindi man nila gusto ang natabo. But we want exact information kung ano kinubra nila sa system nila. Para at least we understood. Okay, mahulat kami, we could explain. Kaya kami mismo, kinabasol man sa amon consumers, ay ko explain. Which mo ay kami explain. Oh, yes, we are a front line. Even kung magtaas ang rate, kami man ang sa front line, which is also not the cause of the electric co-op. I think, amo na, Mr. Chair, ang amon observation na very unusual ang natabo.
Masisigi na ang sa electric. Engineer Pagkatalan.
Thank you,
Honourable Electric.
Thank you, honourable board members. Well, in fact, we don't want here to have a blame game. NGCP generators and DUs are partners in the operation. One cannot operate without the other. So that's why, as what the GM Red mentioned, we want transparency because the situation creates confusion during that time. Ano gid bala? So even us, during that time, I think the 28th, I overheard in the radio that we are charged of the problem, the DUs, and that's not correct. That's why we wanted to have NGCP answer the problem, that they should own it if they really know ila problema, so that we can move on and find solutions to the problem. I think we have experienced that February 20, nagka-problema February 20. I think they should have made a research kung ano gid bala dapat himuon during that time para this will not recur again. So, but now, ang batagi na, if the generators actually kung collapse, it is inherent upon NGCP to have a must run system ang ancillary. Kasi makulapse sa company, dapat may must run sila, may ancillary services sila, may 100 MPA na sila nga mga substation na pwede makapadalagan. So, it's just right nga i-charge mo lang kung may collapse gani ang isa ka planta, hindi ka na dahil pwede. So, they have the capability actually si NGCP to do that. So, I think bottom line is we have to face this challenge and address this problem in the future, hindi na siya magbalik. Kaya kabudlay-budlay nga we did not learn from the past, then it really will recur again in the future. Kaya we have not anticipated it. I think one of the best things that the NGCP must do is to improve their protection. Let's say, example ni GM James, may oscillation, may fluctuation because of that renewable energy. Ano dapat ba lang equipment kay apply mo dira para ma-arrest din na siya? Para hindi maging fluctuating imong lines. So may ginapalitan sila nga system voltage generator para maka-generate bago para masupplyan mo linya mo liwat. I think there are so many equipments right now nga pwede na idugang. I think I have talked to the NGCP, my static synchronous static synchronous regulator, compensator. Isa pa na, ma-arrest din na siya, mag-collapse isa ka planta, ma-compensate siya na dayon, i-isolate siya na dayon. So I think NGCP has the right people in place sa operation. But I think if you must own it kung sala. That's why we don't want to blame others. I would like, kami sa media, prime kami dito sa amon nga Facebook account. My God, tanan nga basol, hindi kayo chindi. Pero actually, when in fact, we have educated these consumers. Pag magsiling ka NGCP, let's say may schedule interruption for 6 to 6, wala naman sila problema. Wala na comment. That's why if NGCP should have acceded to the problem, I think wala na damo ni ang dami na problema mutuluan na ipa. I think we siguro in the future kung kami problema we will accept it, we will admit it, and then the rest of us will follow through.
So thank you. Yes,
Mr. Chair. So from there, we can really say that there's really something that needs to be improved. Okay, in your variable renewable energy, sa renewable energy, ako yung gagawa mo because that is my But kung nasiling ka mo imbalance, bangod sa BRE, may disturbance, may imbalance. So there should be an effort nga to compensate the imbalance. Do you have that technology? Do you have that system in place in your system now in GCP? Do you have that?
yes.
Okay, because do you also agree that because of the tripping, the oscillation, something, the frequency, it's because of the BRE? Do you agree with what Attorney James Walsomo said?
Okay, so Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
Secretary.
Okay, yeah, regarding the fluctuation of the BRE output, so can NGCP do something about that? So that's the first question, right? When we say fluctuation or say sudden reduction of output from these BREs, it's actually loss of supply. And where should we get that? We should get that from power plants or from a power source. So what are those? It's not only it's not just a power source, but it has to be fast. So okay. Why? Because the reduction in solar output is also very fast. It's sudden. In order to compensate that, so even let's say in a second time, in seconds, it dipped, let's say, the output reduced by 20 megawatts. We have to be able to compensate that. We have to have an additional 20 megawatts in a matter of 1 second. Can conventional power plants, like coal plants, can they provide that 20 megawatts in 1 second? No, they're slow. So NGCP is also not involved in power generation. We're just in power transmission. But we can contract ancillary services. If there are no suppliers like fast-acting power plants that want to negotiate or let's say enter a contract with NGCP, we won't have a replacement for that sudden reduction of solar output. What's the situation now? For the regulating reserve, we have one. What is that? That's the Kabangkalan Battery Energy Storage System. It's fast.
Who owns that? You?
No, it's a power generation. So it's not NGCP.
Kabangkalan, who owns that? You know?
I think SMCG, San Miguel, something.
Oh, San Miguel.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's fast. It's like a power bank. You just charge it, and if you need power, you plug it in. You can control it. So the point is, it's fast. It can
It
compensate.
has ready power available at any given time.
It's like a power bank.
Yeah,
It's you need to charge it first.
Pero
So-
that's yung sabi mo, battery siya eh.
Yeah, it's a battery. That means, let's say, ito ba ilan to? 10,000 milliampere hour. So let's say ang capacity ito 10,000. If it doesn't have a charge, low bat siya. Hindi siya this will not.
Of course, it needs power to store it inside.
Yeah, so it has to store
What
first.
I'm asking, para to simplify your explanation is, this battery, San Miguel owned the battery something.
Yes,
So, yun ang ancillary service nyo.
that's
Yan ang ancillary service nyo na kinukuha nyo ng sudden power drop.
that is correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, so they are under contract with you.
That is correct.
So why did you not do it then?
They are not available during that time. They have.
They are not available during that time. Why? Because hindi na charge?
I think there's a problem with their medium power equipment, medium voltage equipment. So they're
Mr. Chair, we have also to look into that. We have to look also into that. Again, according to their, we will provide the Congress with what they are saying to us here. So as I see it, San Miguel, something, company, ancillary service on contract with you, but you did not utilize it. During the time, nakali mo, power drop ka na. So dapat, yun ang ipalit mo agad. So hindi niya na-engage.
Yeah, it's one of the
Oh.
power plants, Mr. Chair, on forced outage. So as I mentioned a while ago, there are several power plants in Negros and Panay on outage. We cannot use them because they're not available. Even if we tell them we need your power, they're not available during that time. They cannot provide power.
So, can you state what are the power
Ancillary.
plants that supply the grid, the NGCP? Para at least ma-assist natin. Kasi sabi nyo, doon lang sa silay nag-stop. So, at least we can have the idea. So, kung mag-fluctuate yung isa doon sa silay at kung ano pang natitira dito sa amin na pwede makabalansi or makasupply ng power aside from that in Kabangkalan owned by the San Miguel.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The unavailable power plants, so that's the big ones. Here in Panay, it's PDC Unit 2 that was offline.
What is that?
PETC, offline na
NC,
sila.
one unit,
What is that?
Ang there is
coal plant.
Coal plant.
Coal plant.
PMS,
It's,
Preventive Maintenance Unit 2.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
PETC 2.
What else? The PCP?
PCPC was available on April 27,
29.
but after the incident where, let's say, after the disturbance in Bacolod Silay, wherein our protection also was able to clear the fault, or we disconnected actually the feeder basically. But as I've mentioned, the grid was already recovering. However, PCPC tripped. So from then until
So there is no other source na. So we have
yes,
no other source na in Panay because there's a trip from the
from PCPC,
the PCPC.
yeah, the PCPC tripped, and it also cascaded, meaning it also affected the other power plants, the big ones, PDC Unit 1 and Unit 3. So eventually there's no more power plant here in Panay. So the loads definitely cannot be supplied.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I would want to direct my question to Sir Christian. Ang best project with this battery energy storage system, that's what you were talking earlier. How much is the capacity of that Bakalan best project?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the capacity
Yes.
is plus minus 20 megawatts.
Is it enough to supply what the energy that was lost during that time?
No,
Yeah, even if it operated, it cannot. It's still useless.
yes, that is correct.
So we
Mr.
cannot depend on that the best project because the capacity is only 20 mega. So there should be something that should be done. Because if we are talking about plants that will collapse, there should be a measure to address the same or even greater power requirement.
Question from the chair. So what are the requirements of the Iloilo province or the entire Banana Island
Requirements are
sa power?
309?
300
300
megawatts?
Well, the Panay demand reached 450.
150.
450
400.
megawatts.
Ang demand.
Yes.
Ano yun ang 309 nyo yung ginambal nyo? May gambal di ka mo nga 309 lang ang requirements ng Panay. Sige lang, go ahead lang, sige lang. So
Yes.
450 megawatt ha?
Yes, that is the like the peak demand, meaning because the demand varies depending on the time of the day, during the early morning.
Average, we're talking about here average.
Yeah,
We're not
that's
talking
the
about the
average.
specific. Average, magkano? 450.
Around 400 on the average.
Sabi mo 450 tapos
The peak, that's the peak.
That's the peak.
Yes, we are preparing for the peak because that's when most of the power flows along our lines, and that is also the critical scenario of the grid. The plants have to supply the most during that time because the demand is high. So that's what usually we look into to prepare the grid.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Chair, for clarity, theoretically, the tripping of substation in Panay, for example, even if all the power plants in Panay will be separated from the grid, it will not cause outage in the Panay if we are properly connected in the grid. Why? Because the grid is just a reservoir of power being produced by all generators in the entire Visayas, in fact, in the entire country. One thing, Mr. Chair, before the incident, is it not correct that Visayas grid was isolated from Luzon, as previously reported? Meaning, before this incident, Mr. Chair, something really did happen. Supposedly, Visayas grid is integrated with Luzon. But based on during our meeting in the provincial disaster,
Yes.
the first statement there is that the high voltage direct current line connecting Visayas and Luzon was isolated. That's the first statement there.
Yes.
That was
Manually cut off.
Manually cut off. So
Yes.
what's the reason? That's the first question. And second, meaning something did happen. And then second, Mr. Chair, even if all the generating plants in Panay will be separated from the Visayas grid, there is more than enough power in the grid to supply the power in Panay. during that time, except if the Panay subgrid was separated from the Visayas grid. In this case, we are all alone. If meaning we are all dependent on the power generated in Panay to supply our demand. But once we are connected in the grid, even if all the generating plants in Panay will be shut down, we will have sufficient supply. Research here, we have the so-called red alert, yellow alert, meaning these are the warnings in the grid regarding the sufficiency of supply. Meaning, red alert, meaning there is a very, very thin supply in the grid, meaning for the entire Visayas. But there is no red alert at the time, Mr. Chair. Meaning, even if we will discount all the generating capacity in Panay, Visayas grid could still supply sufficient power for the entire demand of Panay. But the question is, during that time, was Panay subgrid still connected with the Visayas grid or not?
So I think NGCP could answer that. No? So I think mas maganda siguro sir kung i-ano niya na lang whether kung ano talaga yung cause at kung ano talaga yung mga kailangan natin gawin para at least matulungan natin kasi yung mga tao dito sa probinsya and including the city kasi yung ano palagi nila yung biniblame nila yung mga co-ops natin, no? So pag sinabi na grid sa NGCP, wala nang question sa mga tao yan kasi NGCP sila yung nag-distribute eh. Oo. So kami dito sa Sanggunian, so gusto lang namin makatulong any legislation para at least matulungan naman kayo kung ano kailangan gawin. At least we can have a legislative measure addressed to the national agency.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, for the question on the link with Luzon, the high voltage direct current line, that is correct. It was offline during that time. Why? The interconnection we have with Luzon, it's two-way, meaning some time of the day, Luzon provides power to the Visayas. But other times of the day, Visayas needs to provide power to Luzon. During the course of how do we reverse the power, it has to be shut down. And then when it goes back up, it's already reversed. So that's how it works, the HVDC. Who said it has to be shut down? We have the market or the IMAP, the market of the Philippines. Yeah, so they're actually doing the simulations and they're issuing the how much the power plants should dispatch or what will be the output of each power plant. And their simulation makes sure that that is the most economical combination of the power plants. So based on that, sometimes they come up, it's economical for Luzon to supply Visayas. Other times of the day, it's more economical to utilize Visayas, especially during the day when the
Who is deciding that?
the IMAP.
Under what company yan?
IMAP.
IMAP? What is that IMAP?
It's different there.
How many?
Electricity
That's the
market.
market, Mr.
How do you
Chair.
call it?
A wholesale electricity spot market.
Tamo ng Wesam?
That's the Western.
Hindi, Wesam?
The operator of WISM actually is the IMAP, the Independent Electricity Market Operator of the Philippines. Back in CP, it is the one operating the WISM.
So, the IMAP, is this a private corporation or is it a government entity?
Private, government. I'm not sure.
Kasi diri duha di ka function ni siya duha, both private ka government, ano? I don't know. So Mr. Chair, research ni siya
Yes.
staff mo, no? Ang this IMAP. Okay, so IMAP is the one deciding kung okay ito dito sa Luzon, dito sa Visayas, dito sa Mindanao. Ganun ba yun?
That's correct. That's the market. So it's driven by prices. The generators nominate prices. So whoever is the cheapest, that's the first one to be utilized.
Okay. So, going back, masyado na tayo ano na. So meaning, na-isolate tayo sa Luzon
During that time.
during the time. So, what did you do? Have you not foreseen such thing that will happen in the future prior to this 3-day outage? Have you not gone into this na may mga simulation kayong sinasabi na para hindi mangyari? How come, what will happen to Visayas? If ma-isolate nga pala tayo, anong gawin natin? Do you have that? Do you have that system to avoid na itong nangyari na ito? Do you have that?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We have simulations and we follow the Philippine Grid Code requirement. So what is that? It says we have to comply with the N-1 requirement. What is that? What is N-1? That means even if one element of the system is out, the grid or the entire system should be stable. What are those elements? It could be a transmission line, it could be a generating unit, it could be a transformer. So we conduct those simulations and the grid is stable. So what was special during the April 27? As I mentioned, there's not only one plant that is out. There's not only one generating unit that is out. There are several power plants that were unavailable.
Can you name us those power plants? If
We
not
can-
today, can you provide us in the future?
Yeah.
Or what are those plants that are not operating during that unusual April 27 scenario? O ano yan sila? Para matulungan nyo kami, no?
Yes, sir.
So, okay. Mr. J, so ano ang inyong what are your plans? Do you have systems in place about this sudden paano yan kung meron ma-isolate na naman tayo? Meron kayong plano na? Meron na ba kayong do you have already things in place to avoid such thing that might happen again? Do you have
Maybe
as of this time?
then you have you have already adapted contingencies regarding that. Hindi naman
Yun na, parang diretso na tayo.
Yes, Your Honor. So, the actions that we took are the following. First, the protection clearing time. So, normally, the fault that happened last April 27, it was actually cleared. What does it mean? We actually removed or isolated cut off that line so that it will not be felt. Okay, but it's
Ginawa na ninyo na ngayon.
no, during that time
During
we
that-
have a protection.
Okay.
It tripped the line.
Okay.
And based on our on our monitoring, the voltage was already recovering. Meaning, it should have been okay. But the next event that we noticed is, that we found out is PCPC trip. So that's why we have to coordinate also with the power plants. What are their protection settings? They should have some time to withstand a certain degree of disturbance because it was already isolated.
So pag trip na 69 nyo, suddenly hindi na nag-generate ang PCPC?
And naputol po ako.
Oo, hindi. So meaning, to say it bluntly,
Yes.
hindi na nag-provide ang PCPC ng 163 nila.
135.
135.
Na-disconnect sila sa
Nag-disconnect sila. Kumalas. So you were not informed.
We saw that, but we cannot control it.
Oh yeah, I understand. Pero importante dito gusto ko malaman, were there also information coming from the generation companies informing you, NGCP, that we will shut down?
It's an automatic protection, I believe. So,
Nila?
Yes.
Okay,
So,
so,
that's why we...
so meaning they were not, on record, you were not informed by PCPC that they will be dropping or cutting off their power by 135.
That is correct. It's
Okay.
not something that we could foresee. It's
Yeah, I understand now that this beyond your hands, beyond your capability. So, from the 69 ninyo sa Silay, nag-trip off, na-isolate ninyo, and then suddenly, when you need power to sustain it, suddenly, PCPC did not provide. Walang power, nag-trip off din sila. Okay. So, pero wala silang information sa inyo kung anong reason. Just because of reasons na, kung anong rason nila? Do you know? Did they tell you what the reason? Because we understand na kung mag-shut off ang generator, it will take time to revive it, no? Of course, to go into ang production niya ng power niya. So, again, on record, Mr. Chair, PCPC did not inform NGCP of the possible trip-off from their company. So they can no longer provide, by that time, 135 MBA. That's according to Christian.